A lot of first-time homebuyers in Milwaukee show up to closing day and they get hit with a number they weren't ready for. Not because their agent didn't tell them, but because nobody actually explained what that number means or where it comes from. Today we're fixing that. If you're buying a home in Milwaukee or anywhere in Waukesha County, closing costs are one of those things that gets mentioned early on and then kind of glossed over. You'll hear plan for 2 to 5%, and then nobody really breaks it down for you. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to walk you through exactly what closing costs are, what you're actually paying for, what's negotiable, and what you can do right now to prepare for them. By the end of this video, that number on your closing disclosure is not going to surprise you. Let's walk through this together. First, let's just get clear on what closing costs actually are, because a lot of buyers think closing costs are one thing. They're not. They're a collection of fees and expenses that all come due on the same day, the day you close on your home. Think of it this way. Buying a home isn't just a transaction between you and the seller. There are a lot of other parties involved. You've got lenders, title companies, the county, sometimes attorneys, insurance providers. Closing costs are basically everyone getting paid on the same day. There are 3 main buckets your closing costs fall into: lender fees, third-party fees, and prepaid items. We're going to go through each one. The first bucket is lender fees. These are the fees your mortgage company charges to process and fund your loan. The big one you'll see is the origination fee. This is basically the lender's cost to create your loan. It can range anywhere from a few $100s to 1% of your loan amount. So on a $400,000 home, 1% is $4,000. That's real money. You'll also see things like an underwriting fee, a processing fee, and sometimes a rate lock fee if you lock your interest rate in early. These fees vary from lender to lender, which is exactly why I always tell buyers, don't just shop homes, shop lenders too. This is one of the most overlooked parts of the buying process in Milwaukee. 2 lenders can offer you the same interest rate, and one can cost you $2,000 more at closing just in fees. Get a loan estimate from at least 2 lenders and compare the fees side by side, not just the rate. And while we're talking about choosing a lender, I want to say something that doesn't get talked about enough. The fee comparison matters, but so does who picks up the phone. Here's a scenario I've seen play out more than once. It's Saturday night, 7 o'clock. You found the perfect home. You want to write an offer tonight because you know there's a lot of other buyers looking at it. You need to confirm your numbers though with the lender before you pull the trigger. If you went with a big bank or an online lender to save a few $100 on fees, you might be waiting until Monday morning for a call back. And in this market, Monday morning might be too late. The lenders I refer my clients to are available nights and weekends, not because they have to be, but because they understand that real estate doesn't happen on a 9-to-5 schedule. That accessibility, when the moment actually counts, is worth more than a slightly lower origination fee. Let's be clear, I'm not telling you who to use, that's your call. But I am telling you to ask this question before you commit. What happens if I need you on a Saturday night? Now the second bucket is third-party fees. These are fees paid to companies outside of your lender, and there are a few that every buyer in Wisconsin is going to see. Title insurance is one of the biggest. In Wisconsin, both the buyer and the seller typically pay for their own title insurance policies. Your lender's title policy protects the bank. Your owner's title policy protects you. It's a one-time fee and it covers you for as long as you own the home. On a $400,000 purchase, you're typically looking at somewhere in the range of $1,000 to $2,000 for your owner's policy. You're probably wondering what title insurance actually does. Before you close, a title company goes back through the entire history of the property and makes sure that there are no liens, no unresolved ownership disputes, nothing that could create a problem for you after you buy it. If something does come up after closing, like a contractor who wasn't paid 5 years ago files a claim against the property, your title insurance covers you. It's one of those things that feels unnecessary until you actually need it. Other third-party fees you'll see include the appraisal fee, which we covered appraisals in a previous video, so you already know what that is. The home inspection fee, a survey fee if one is required, and attorney fees if applicable. In Wisconsin, real estate attorneys aren't always required, but they are common, especially in complex transactions. Budget $200 to $500 if one's involved. The third bucket is prepaids. And this one surprises buyers more than anything else. Prepaids aren't fees for services. They're money that you're paying in advance for things that you'd be paying anyway. Homeowners insurance and property taxes. The reason they show up at closing is that your lender requires you to fund an escrow account up front before you officially take ownership. Here's how it works. Your lender collects a few months of homeowners insurance and property taxes at closing and holds them in escrow. Then when the bills come due, they pay them on your behalf. So it protects the lender's investment in the property and it protects you from a big unexpected bill. In Milwaukee and Waukesha County, property taxes vary pretty significantly by municipality. Brookfield, Wauwatosa, Waukesha, New Berlin, they all have different mill rates. But as a rough estimate, plan for 2 to 3 months of property taxes and 1 year of homeowners insurance prepaid at closing. So on a $400,000 home in this area, prepaids alone can run anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. This is why the 2 to 5% closing cost estimate exists. It's not just fees, it's fees plus prepaids, and that range is real. So what are we actually talking about in total? On a $300,000 home in Milwaukee, you're typically looking at $6,000 to $12,000 in closing costs. On a $400,000 home, $8,000 to $16,000. On a $500,000 home, $10,000 to $20,000. I know that's a wide range. The reason it varies is because some of those fees depend on your lender, your loan type, your municipality, and whether any costs have been negotiated with the seller. Which brings me to something most buyers don't realize. Closing costs can be negotiated. Not all of them. You can't negotiate what the county charges you, but you can ask the seller to contribute toward your closing costs as part of the offer. In our market right now, depending on the home and the situation, seller concessions toward closing costs are very much on the table. That's something worth having a conversation about with your agent before you write an offer. Here's how you actually prepare for closing costs so you're not caught off guard. 1. Ask your lender for a loan estimate early, not after you're under contract, but before. A good lender will give you a detailed breakdown of estimated closing costs before you ever make an offer, so that number should not be a surprise on closing day. 2. Build closing costs into your budget from day one. A lot of buyers in Milwaukee save for their down payment and forget about closing costs entirely. You need both. If you're putting 5% down on a $400,000 home, that's $20,000 for a down payment. You need another $8,000 to $12,000 ready for closing. Plan for it. And 3, ask about every fee on your loan estimate. You have every right to ask your lender to explain what every single line item is. If something doesn't make sense, ask. If a fee seems high, ask if it can be reduced. Lenders want to close loans. There's often more flexibility there than buyers realize. Look, closing costs aren't the most exciting part of buying a home, but they're one of the most important things to understand going in. The buyers I see get surprised at closing are almost always the ones who didn't have this conversation early enough. If you're planning to buy in Milwaukee, Brookfield, Waukesha, or anywhere in this area, and you want to sit down and actually run through numbers before you start, that's exactly what I can help you with. No pressure and no pitch, just a real conversation about what to expect. And hey, thank you for watching. Seriously, if this helped you feel a little more prepared, that's exactly why I make these videos. If you want to keep going with this series, the next video walks through exactly what happens on closing day, what to bring, what you sign, and what can still go sideways even at the last minute. It's the natural next step after everything we just covered, and honestly, it's one of those videos that's a lot better to watch before you need it than after. And remember, whatever move you make next, make sure it's a smart one. I'll see you next week.